This photograph from the early 20th century shows a domestic cat, but the scale feels entirely wrong. A typical house cat tops out around 46 centimeters long. The feline in this image is a Maine Coon, a breed where adult males routinely weigh up to 11 kilos and stretch a full meter from nose to tail. Because of their immense size and heavily ringed, bushy tails, folklore claimed these animals were the impossible biological offspring of semi-wild felines and local raccoons. However, that genetic crossover is entirely fiction. The true genetic lineage traces back to a much older maritime necessity. Biological similarities point heavily toward the Norwegian forest cat, a robust, thick-coated breed that early Norse explorers kept aboard their Viking longships specifically to hunt rats during long ocean voyages. As global trade routes expanded over the centuries, these rugged seafaring cats eventually stepped off merchant vessels and onto the freezing, wind-battered coastlines of North America, specifically the harbors of what is now the state of Maine. That massive physical scale emerged as a brutal, necessary adaptation to maritime travel and the lethal cold of the American Northeast. Supporting that kind of weight requires a highly specific biological timeline. While a standard domestic cat reaches full size in roughly 12 months, a Maine Coon requires a slow-burning growth cycle of 3 to 5 years to maximize its bone density and skeletal architecture. To handle sub-zero temperatures, they carry specialized thermal armor. Looking at this cross-section of a Maine Coon's coat, you can see 3 distinct layers: a dense, heat-trapping undercoat, covered by a smoother middle layer, and topped with heavy guard hairs. That outermost guard layer is heavily saturated with natural hydrophobic oils. This creates a highly effective waterproof barrier, forcing snow, ice, and freezing rain to bead up and roll off before it can ever reach the animal's skin. The adaptations even extend to their bone structure. Historically, a large percentage of the breed carried a naturally occurring genetic mutation called polydactyly, which triggers the growth of extra toes beyond the standard 18. Those oversized, multi-toed paws serve a precise mechanical function. They operate exactly like natural snowshoes, spreading the cat's massive body weight over a wider surface area so they can glide across soft snowdrifts without sinking. Every physical element of the Maine Coon, from the slow-maturing heavy skeleton to the oil-coated fur and expanding paws, acts as a highly refined biological machine built to dominate a freezing landscape. Yet the behavior housed inside that intimidating physical frame is entirely counterintuitive. They exhibit deeply canine traits, readily playing fetch for hours or accepting a harness to walk outdoors on a leash. Their relationship with water defies normal feline instincts. Because their anatomy actively repels moisture, the typical fear of getting wet is replaced with a distinct psychological affinity, driving them to deliberately seek out splashing and swimming. Their vocal anatomy is distinct too. Instead of emitting a standard meow, Maine Coons rely on a specialized larynx to produce high-pitched, bird-like trills and chirps, primarily to greet their owners or excitement. Behind those physical and vocal quirks lies a sharp emotional intelligence. They possess a documented capacity for empathy, actively reading human body language to detect psychological stress, and then proactively approaching to soothe their owners. The Maine Coon operates with a social, profoundly empathetic mind inside a physical architecture purpose-built for sub-zero dominance. But pushing a biological structure to extreme dimensions creates inevitable friction. Sustaining such a heavy frame demands a steep toll on the animal's internal architecture. This mechanical stress test visualization highlights a major vulnerability in the feline hip joint. Because of their sheer mass, nearly 25% of the Maine Coon population is at risk for hip dysplasia, a painful malformation where the heavy load causes severe joint friction and eventual loss of mobility. There is an even more severe risk hidden inside the cardiovascular system. As this schematic of a healthy heart illustrates, there is an open volume of blood flowing, but roughly 30% carry the MYBPC mutation. Watch the muscular walls visibly thicken inward. This condition, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, reduces chamber volume, suffocating the heart's ability to pump blood. These biological vulnerabilities nearly contributed to their end. During the mid-20th century, as exotic, imported breeds like the Persian flooded the American exhibition circuit, The native Maine Coons numbers dropped so drastically they were briefly considered close to extinction before dedicated conservationists rebuilt the population. Today, they thrive as one of the most popular breeds on Earth. But bringing one into your home means accepting a complex reality. Their majestic scale comes with genetic fragility, requiring a lifetime of rigorous medical stewardship to protect the giants of the feline world.